Picture a man in Palermo, Sicily, in December of 1920. He has just lost his daughter. She was 1 week short of her second birthday. He is not a wealthy man, not a famous one, an army officer with a wife and a hole in his life, and he is about to do something that almost no grieving parent in history has ever been able to do. Now picture a small glass case at the end of a stone corridor beneath that same city more than 100 years later. Thousands of strangers file past it every year. They lean in, they take photographs, they argue about it on the internet. Inside that case is his daughter. This is the story of how one father's private act of unbearable love became one of the most looked at bodies on earth, and of the mystery that took 90 years and a scientist chasing down a dead man's paperwork to finally solve. Her name was Rosalia Lombardo. She was born in December of 1918, and she died in December of 1920 of bronchopneumonia, an illness her family believed came out of the influenza that was still moving through the world in the last exhausted months of the Spanish flu pandemic. Almost nothing is recorded about her short life. Not her first words, not her favorite things. Everything we know about Rosalia is about what happened after she died, which is its own kind of sadness. Her father was named Mario Lombardo, and by every account, he could not accept losing her. So he went to a man named Alfredo Salafia. Salafia was a Palermo embalmer with an extraordinary reputation, a chemist and taxidermist who had developed his own preservation method and had used it on prominent men. Lombardo asked him to do for a not quite 2-year-old what Salafia had done for statesmen, to stop time. Salafia injected the body with a single solution through one point and let gravity carry it through her. Then she was placed in the Capuchin Catacombs beneath Palermo, a vast underground complex where for centuries the city's dead had been preserved and displayed in their own clothes along the corridors. Rosalia was one of the very last bodies ever admitted there. The catacombs stopped taking burials shortly afterward. In a place filled with thousands of the dead, she became the final arrival. And then something happened that Salafia himself may not have fully expected. She didn't change. Decades went by, and the child in the glass case still looked to the people filing past, as if she had fallen asleep a few minutes ago. Blonde hair, a ribbon, blue eyes visible beneath lids that never quite closed. They started calling her the Sleeping Beauty. Later, X-rays would show something genuinely remarkable to the scientists who took them. After all that time, her organs were still intact inside her, essentially undamaged. But Salafia had died in 1933, and he had never written down publicly how he did it. The method that produced the best preserved body in the catacombs went into the ground with him. And into that gap, an unexplained, perfectly preserved child rushed exactly the kind of story you'd expect. People began to claim that Rosalia opened and closed her eyes, that if you watched long enough or came back at a different hour, the eyelids had moved. Photographs seemed to show it. The legend of the blinking mummy went around the world, and eventually around the internet, where it still circulates today as proof of something supernatural in that little chapel. If a father's grief turning into a 100-year-old mystery is the kind of story you wish more people knew, take a second and hit that like button. It tells me these are the ones worth digging into properly. And subscribe, because the two answers science eventually found, one about the eyes and one about the formula, are far stranger and better than the myth. Stay with me. The man who solved both was a biological anthropologist named Dario Piombino-Mascali. And he solved the formula the least mystical way imaginable. He found Salafia's living relatives, asked their permission, and went through the dead embalmer's papers. Among them was a handwritten account in Salafia's own hand, listing exactly what he had injected into Rosalia Lombardo. It was 4 things. Formalin, to kill the bacteria that cause a body to break down. Glycerin, to keep the tissues from drying out and shriveling. Salicylic acid, to stop fungi from growing. And zinc salts, which is the part that mattered most, because the zinc effectively petrified her, giving the body a rigidity that held its shape for a century. 4 ingredients, 1 injection, and a 2-year-old outlasted the man who preserved her, the father who paid for it, and everyone who ever knew her. Then there were the eyes. Piombino-Mascali worked that out too, and the answer is almost disappointingly simple, and, if you think about it for a second, much sadder than the ghost story. Rosalia's eyelids were never fully closed. They have always been slightly open. The chapel where she lies has side windows, and as the sun moves across the sky through the day, the angle of light coming through those windows changes, and it strikes her eyes differently hour by hour. That shift is what people were seeing, not movement, light. There was never any blinking. There was only a child who was never quite able to close her eyes, and 100 years of visitors wanting her to be doing something. And here is where the after catches up with her. Around 2009, photographs revealed what the crowds could not see. She had begun to change, discoloration. The early signs of the decay that Salafia's chemistry had held off for nearly 90 years, so they moved her to a drier part of the catacombs and sealed her coffin inside a case filled with nitrogen gas to starve the process of the oxygen it needs. The same scientist who dug up her secret is now the one keeping her from disappearing. So the 2 pictures. A father in 1920, so unable to let go of a child who never reached 2 that he paid a chemist to keep her. And that same child, a century on, sealed in nitrogen behind glass, photographed by strangers, the subject of documentaries and myths and arguments about whether she should be on display at all. Mario Lombardo wanted one thing. He wanted his daughter not to disappear. He got that wish more completely than any parent in history, and in a form he could not possibly have imagined and might not have wanted. Millions of people know Rosalia Lombardo's face. Almost nobody knows a single thing about her life. She has been preserved perfectly and remembered for everything except being a little girl. If you want more stories like this one, real, forgotten, hidden in the details the official version leaves out, watch the video already coming up on your screen right now. Here on It Sounds Like Fiction, but it's history, there's always one more secret waiting.